Hi, everybody. I don't know about you, but it's around 1 o'clock. I'm starting to feel a little hungry. And gosh, but you know what? I have this handy dandy menu in my pocket, and let's see what's got here. We've got some Chinese chicken salad, some wraps, Caesar salad. That sounds great. You guys wouldn't mind if I just start eating a little bit now, would you now? Is that okay? Is that cool? Okay, nobody panic. I'm not actually going to eat the menu. And obviously I'm trying to make a point, which is that there are a lot of people out there, millions upon billions of them, who are actively trying to eat menus every day. Because the menu is the symbol for the thing that you really want, which is real nourishment, also known as food. And yet people are using substitutes for what they really want in life. And what you really want in life is something along the lines of happiness, some measure of fulfillment, but especially in achievement-oriented cultures, which you may be a member of, people tend to chase down things like status, money, and power. And I gotta tell you, there's two potential outcomes with status, money, and power. One is you don't get it, and now you're miserable because like, damn man, I didn't make it. And number two is that you do get it, and you're still kind of miserable. And then you're thinking, I made it and I'm still not happy. Maybe happiness is not even attainable. So that's almost worse. Luckily, there is a solution. And the solution is to engineer happiness into your life instead of leaving it to chance. So what I'd like to do today is to redefine success as having authentic happiness in your life and some measure of deep fulfillment. So to do that, I'm going to give you 5 principles. I will also give you a silly way of remembering all 5 of them. So this will be the only talk you've attended in a long time in which you remembered all the 5 major points. And also, I'm going to ask you to do some exercises. So if you have a pen and paper handy, your program is perfectly acceptable as a piece of paper and a pen. I invite you to come along with me and do the exercises. So let's engineer some happiness, shall we? Yes? Hallelujah. All right. Happiness, good stuff. Okay, so principle number 1 is intimate relationships, okay? So the number 1 contributor to your long-term health, happiness, and well-being is the quality of your intimate relationships. How are we going to remember number 1? This is easy. 1 rhymes with gun. Imagine you have a gun, and instead of bullets, it shoots Hershey's Kisses, molten of course, because otherwise it might hurt. But then you make a big mess and everybody's still happy because it's chocolate. Okay, good. So 1, gun, love, relationships. So there's a study that went on for 75 years. It followed members of the Harvard class of 1939, which included John F. Kennedy and Norman Mailer. And what it concluded in the end was that the number 1 predictor of your overall health and happiness in life, and after studying these 95-year-olds, they really know what they were talking about. It's the quality of your relationships. And the director of that program for 30 years was this guy called George Vaillant, great fella. And he summarized it thus. He said, happiness equals love, full stop. So most of you already knew that. And for the past 11 years, I've been writing and teaching about love and relationships. And I have 2 big observations I'd like to share with you from that. And number 1 is that amongst this cohort of very high-achieving people, it seems like people tend to prioritize work over relationships. And to me, that seems like an inversion of the natural order of things. What you really want to do is to make relationships the priority of your life and have your work support that. It's like you have a dish, the dish supports the food. If you put the dish on top of the food, it covers the food, you can't eat the food, that's not good. So what you want to do is you want to make relationships number 1 priority. And I don't know, there probably aren't that many people out there who are on their deathbed and they say, God, I wish I'd put in more overtime. Or, God, I'm so glad I dissed all my friends for that Frisbee game to go and finish that essay on time, okay? And so intimate relationships and friendships. Second one. The second one is that what's your life purpose? What are you here to do on this planet Earth? And one version that I came up with is that you're here to give your gift. You're here to flourish. You're here to be the best possible version of you. So what you want in terms of relationship is the kind of person who catalyzes that greatness in you, is the kind of person who allows you to flourish and to have the energy to really go out there and give your gift and make a significant contribution to the world. Now, if you are in a relationship that dims your light, that takes away your energy such that you don't have enough to go out there and give to the world, maybe it's time to reconsider. Because nobody has the right to keep you in that kind of relationship that dims your radiance. Nobody, especially you yourself. So think about that, please. I've gotten thousands of letters from women over the years, and the number one person who keeps people in those relationships is the person already in it. Okay. So, friendship. What about friendship? So, recently I've read these books, Reclaiming Conversation by Sherry Turkle of MIT, and there's a famous book by Robert Putnam called Bowling Alone. And there seems to be a trend of the increase in social isolation and a decrease in social conversation. And for various reasons, people are busy, and then there's electronic gizmos. They're trying to be a substitute for intimacy, but they don't really quite work that way. And I gotta tell you, if you're gonna let autocorrect manage your relationships, one of these days you will send somebody a text that says, "I really, really lick you." And they're gonna be very confused. So let's do the first exercise. So take a piece of paper, and across the top write in big letters, "This matters." Okay? And 3 suggestions. Number 1, today, resolve to call a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while. It doesn't have to take very long, but make that call. Number 2, also resolve to make an appointment to see one of your friends that you haven't seen in a while. Actually, in person, face-to-face, like I'm doing right here. All right. And number 3, if you're in a relationship, make a point of sometime later on today to express genuine appreciation for your partner, something that your partner has done for you. So, 3 practices. Great. You guys ready for number 2? Okay. Number 2 is life purpose. 2 rhymes with shoe. So I want you to imagine that you're coming to put on your shoe, and in your shoe is a dolphin. But wait, it's not a dolphin, it's a porpoise. So it's live, so it's a live porpoise. Okay, good. That is just really dumb, but you will remember that. So the idea is that here you are on Earth, and you have some kind of life purpose, and we kind of touched upon that. The whole idea of you're here to give your gift to the world, right? What are you spending 8 to 12 hours a day doing? Are you just showing up so you can make some money and pay some bills so you can go and play on the weekend or on vacation? Or does what you do actually really mean something to you? Is it something that's close to your heart that really fulfills you at the core? And that's something to consider. Now, many of us don't have the luxury to just kind of walk away from our jobs and be happily self-employed and live the dream. You have jobs, you have families, you have bills to pay, you have people to support. I understand that. At the same time, I want you to think about what you're going to be doing for the next 30, 40 years for 2,000 hours plus a year. Are you going to be spending your time fulfilling your dreams, or are you going to be spending your time fulfilling somebody else's dreams? Because if you are working for somebody else, you are probably fulfilling their dreams, not your own. So just give it a little think. And so life purpose and working for somebody else. And one metaphor that was apt to my life was that, hey, if I put you in a cage, a golden cage, and I fed you money, would you be happy? And that's a weird question, right? Of course you wouldn't be happy. You'd be miserable, right? And that was me working in my high-powered, high-paying consulting job. And I cannot think of a time when I was more miserable in my life, but I was very highly compensated. So even if you are very highly compensated, if you're not happy, if you're not fulfilled, now is the time to reconsider. Now, one easy way to add purpose into your life is to engage in acts of service. So if you have some kind of service-oriented job, you're a doctor, you work in an NGO, fantastic, every day, you're a nurse, you're a teacher, you're doing that thing that's making you happy. But if not, you can engage in active service within your job. So let's say you have a job that's not entirely service-oriented, like say investment banking or something, right? So you can mentor somebody. You can help out a colleague who's strapped for time. And you can also engage in extracurricular activity that is acts of service. You can volunteer. And apparently the sweet spot for volunteering is around 10 hours a month. And if you start doing more than that, you start to get into the burnout zone. So you want to make sure that the dosage is just right so you're actually getting the full benefit of it without getting the detriment of it. So exercise number 2. Let's get your papers out. Across the top it says, this matters. So 2 things I encourage you to do today. One is, if you are in that miserable job, and you don't have to tell anybody if that's the case, or you know somebody who is, write down a quit date for yourself. Now, this quit date is entirely theoretical. You can make it 3 months from now. You can make it 3 years from now. But the idea is, somewhere in the back of your unconscious, you have resolved that, you know what, maybe this is not the thing I want to be doing for the rest of my life. That's number 1. And number 2, some of you may already have some kind of volunteer organization in mind. For me, it's 826 Valencia, and I signed up to do it in LA like 6 years ago. I never got around to it, and been in San Francisco 3 years, haven't done it, so I really do want to do that. But somehow the impetus wasn't there to go and sign up. So I encourage you to write down the name of that organization and put down a date by which you will definitely sign up and go and volunteer for that organization. So I'm pledging here, stake in the ground, 30 days from now, I will have given my first writing lesson over at 826 Valencia. And they have a branch here, 826 LA. You can do that here too if that's what you want to do. Okay. Ready for number 3? Okay. Number 3. 3 rhymes with tree. And number 3 is sleep. So I want you to imagine that there is a tree that you're sleeping under, and instead of leaves, you have pillows. And as you're kind of waking up, all the pillows fall down. You're under a big pile of pillows, but they're really soft, so it's pretty nice. So, number 3 is sleep. Sleep is not optional. Sleep is not a luxury. Sleep is absolutely essential. And I don't know, man, I've been around these high-achieving people, and they brag about how little sleep they get. I'm like, ugh, you cannot do that, okay? If you're in line of work that involves bragging about how little sleep you get, you have a problem. So, sleep is the underpinning of everything, okay? So, memory, learning, mood, metabolism. If you're sleep deprived for a week, you get like pre-diabetic. It's that fast. So what I want to emphasize here is that sleep is something that Americans are deprived of on an epic scale. So latest numbers, 40% of Americans, that's 120 million people across the entire age range, are sleep deprived. And if it's 2 hours of sleep deprivation per night, that adds up to 90 billion hours of sleep deprivation. How are you going to make that up, right? And the morbidity and mortality that comes from that, the lost productivity that comes from that, that's a major big deal. Now, if there is only one thing that I want you guys to take away from this talk, you're going to remember all 5 points, but one thing is I want you to remember sleep apnea. Sleep apnea happens when you are sleeping and your airway collapses, and as a result, you're not getting air into your lungs. And so what happens is that your body goes, gives you a little jolt, a little micro wake happens, so you can clear the airway and get the air in. And what happens is that that interrupts your sleep. So now you've woken up a little bit, and the quality of your sleep goes down measurably. In fact, this happens sometimes hundreds of times a night. So you're getting really crappy sleep all the time. 24% of all men and 9% of all women have sleep apnea. So in this room, 24% and 9%. And most of them are undiagnosed. It is the #1 most prevalent chronic disease in the country. You probably didn't know that. More than osteoporosis, diabetes, anything. Okay, so sleep apnea is a major big deal. How do you know you have it? Well, #1, you wake up in the morning and instead of feeling fully rested, you feel like you got run over by a tank. That's one thing. #2, you have daytime drowsiness. You kind of fall asleep at inappropriate moments, 3 o'clock in the middle of a meeting. That's one of them. And the third one is you snore. And if your partner says you snore, believe them. So Those three things, if those three things are happening, chances are very high you have sleep apnea. And so what I encourage you to do is to go and get a sleep study. They're not cheap, and they involve staying overnight in a lab with all these gizmos hooked up to you. But if you in fact have sleep apnea and you get diagnosed and you get treated, it's like night and day. You become a whole new person. You become more handsome, taller, more productive, richer. Everything changes. Okay? So go forth and do it. So for the rest of you who don't have sleep apnea, I have 5 points. 5 points for sleep hygiene. It's going to be A, B, C, D, E, so you can remember it easily. A is alcohol and caffeine. Don't have them before you go to bed. No caffeine after 4 p.m. No alcohol after maybe 2 hours before sleep. B is the bedroom. Keep it cold, keep it cool, and really, really dark. No light sources. C, the bed should be only used for sleep and copulation. That's the C. And what you want to do is, you don't want to do any wake time activities in your bed, so you want to associate your bed with just sleep. And where are we on to? D, no devices. Don't look at your phone, look at your gizmo. It messes up your melatonin levels and your circadian rhythm really bad. And E is entrainment. Make sure you go to sleep and wake up at exactly the same time every day, especially on weekends. Number 4. 4 is door. So you have a door. Imagine the door handle is a little squishy, and it's your brains, because number 4 is mind management. And on the door you have a big sign that says management. So 4 is mind management. I have a suite of 4 different practices for you that allow you to run your mind instead of having your mind run you. Okay? And they are mindfulness, meditation, gratitude, and flow. I do not have time to talk about all 4, so I'll give you 2 of them. So mindfulness is probably best defined in contradistinction to mindlessness. So if you are eating while talking and driving and texting, you're probably not being mindful. Okay? That's mindlessness. And instead, if you are sitting down and really enjoying the meal and savoring every bite, you feel every bite go in, and you have all the flavors, all the textures, the temperature, and you're really enjoying it, man, that is mindfulness. And all the studies show that the more mindful you are, the more you are fully present when stuff is actually happening, the better you feel, the happier you are. So I would encourage you, whether you're driving, walking, running, having sex, eating, going on a trip, whatever you're doing, it probably is going to feel a lot better if you're actually there. Okay? So that's mindfulness. Number 2 is meditation, which is actually a way to train yourself for mindfulness. And for me personally, meditation has been the single most transformative practice I've taken up, because it has allowed me to kind of step back and look at my thoughts and emotions as if they're just thoughts and emotions and they're not me. So I don't identify with them as much. And that way I can have more resilience. That way I can have better responses and better decisions to the meditation. There's an app for it. It's called Headspace, and I know I'm telling you to use the most distracting gizmo on the planet to learn how to meditate, but still, you got to start somewhere. And number 5 is exercise. 5 rhymes with hive. Imagine you have a hive of bees, and they're all wearing funky 80s style leotards, and they're dancing to Olivia Newton-John's Physical, Physical. Okay. You're not going to forget that, because that's just dumb. Okay, good. So you got exercise, which is the single most effective way to increase your and fast way to improve your mood. Some people might say crystal meth or cocaine are better, but those are illegal, and you get a hangover. Exercise, much safer, much easier. Okay, so there's a great book by John Rady of Harvard Medical School. It's called Spark: The New Science of Exercise in the Brain. And I highly encourage you to get a hold of that book, because it tells you everything in there about how exercise is the only thing that has been proven scientifically to make you smarter. Actually makes you smarter. It also improves your mood, and of course makes you look good too. So all these things make exercise an essential part of your repertoire. So we have the 5 things. The 5 things, and now you have your mnemonics, so you can tell me what they were. Number 1, gun, is what? Relationships and love. Excellent. Well, let's do a little more together here. Number 2, shoe. Perfect. Number 3, tree. Beautiful. Number 4, door. Mind management. Number 5, hive. Okay, and all of these things are in service for your flourishing. And the whole idea is that, what is your purpose in life? You're here to give your gift. And all these things make you healthy, they make you happy, they make your mind sharp, they make you resilient, they make you have an open heart, they make you relate to people better. All of these things are in service for you to be able to give your gift. And so we're going to finish with a little quick exercise. I want you to all close your eyes and imagine a time that you were feeling absolute joy, unadulterated, pure, amazing joy. And see what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt. And at the peak of that sensation, what I want you to do is to take your right middle finger and thumb, press them together for a count of 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. And then let go and look up here. And from now on, anytime you press that thumb and middle finger together again, just like that, boom, you're going to feel a little bit of that joy instantly. It's like you installed a joy button. So that is the feeling I want you to spread out to everybody else, to inform your activities with. So go forth, spread the joy, and give your gift. Thank you for your attention.